other sources of the restriction of market access to China?
Well, on currency manipulation, Congress has specified several very specific criteria that must be employed in designating a country as a currency manipulator. Those reports are rendered by the Treasury Department generally each April and each October. In the April report, Secretary Mnuchin did not brand any country as a currency manipulator.
Frank Weber with Handelsblatt German Business Daily. What kind of taxes or what else have the German or European car makers to pay in the future? What do you think when they export cars to the United States?
Well, the tariff on cars coming into the U.S. is 2.5%. Tariff on cars going into Europe is 10%.
Secretary, sticking with Europe, you said on CNBC that you said the door is still open to TTIP. The European Commission and Germany seem to disagree.
No,
What's the status of those?
I was open to TTIP.
What is the status of those negotiations?
To TPP. I said we were open to negotiating with Europe.
Right.
That's why we made the conscious decision not to cancel TTIP.
Right.
Those talks, however, have been inactive for some while.
Secretary Ross, Andrew Maida with Bloomberg News.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the CFIUS process and how in the U.S. it's relatively unrestricted. There are members of Congress who are pushing for it to become more restrictive, particularly to crack down on national security risk from countries like China. What's your view on that?
Well, as I said in answer to the prior question, I haven't seen the proposed legislation, so I really don't have a point of view on it.
Secretary Megan Casella with Politico. On steel again, can you talk at all about what the scope of the investigation is targeting? Will it be fairly widespread or rather narrow and targeting a limited number of products? And then on 232 cases, you've mentioned in the past the idea, you've floated the idea in the past of additional cases. Can you comment at all on if there are more coming in any other industries?
Well, as to the breadth of the investigations, in the notice that was sent out about the public hearings and about the whole process, we laid out the code numbers of the products that were involved. In the case of steel, it was quite a large number of products. I think it might have been 100 or something like that. Somewhat small in range of products in aluminum simply because there are somewhat fewer big end uses.
Mr. Secretary, Bill Lucia with Atlantic Media. I was wondering what the administration's position is on selling public infrastructure assets to foreign investors as part of reaching the $1 trillion goal that the president has for infrastructure investment.
Well, I think infrastructure sales would also come under the whole CFIUS process. The first privatization that's been announced by the administration is that of the air traffic control system, and that would be following the Canadian model that would be sold to a nonprofit, presumably U.S. Corporation. That's the only one of which I'm aware that there's actually been an announcement thus far.
Secretary Ross, I'm Robert Delaney from the South China Morning Post. I just wanted to ask, are there any plans to negotiate a renewed effort on trans-Pacific, some sort of trans-Pacific trade agreement?
Well, as you know, Vice President Pence and I were in Japan several weeks ago and have expressed a willingness on the U.S. part to indulge in bilateral talks with Japan. We've also had some very, very preliminary scoping sessions with some of the other individual nations. But TPP as such is dead. There is no political will on either side of the aisle to reactivate TPP. And that would have been true, I believe, regardless of who won the presidential election.
Can you say which other nations you are having preliminary?
Well, we like to announce things when it's agreeable to the other nation as well. The Japanese have acknowledged our overture. So far, I don't think other nations have.
Secretary Ross, competition. Have you decided whether to launch a 232 review of the semiconductors industry, particularly with respect to Chinese government's announced 150 billion investments?
Well, at such time as we make a decision to launch a 232 on any topic, whether it's semiconductors or anything else, that would be the time when we would announce it. We have not made a decision, so we have not made an announcement.
So we are Zhang Han from 21st Century Business Herald, and we are going to see the end of U.S.-China 100-day of trade and investment negotiation. What do you see going forward? And is there any possibility for breakthrough for high-tech products export to China?
That relates to the same CFIUS kind of question and the BIS, the Bureau of Industry and Security Activities. There are high-tech products that have been sold to China and to other countries. The limitations are product by product, depending on whether or not there is felt to be a national security provision that requires the prohibition. So there is no blanket policy one way or the other.
Last question.
From Vietnam Television. Mr. Secretary, can you describe and summarize for us what are the differences between this year's SelectUSA and last year? What are the differences between this year's SelectUSA and the last year?
The difference between this year's SelectUSA and last year's.
Oh, yeah, the difference is several. One, it's a record number of attendees. We had 2,800 attendees this year, which is by far the most in any of the SelectUSA. Second, two particularly large increases in delegations occurred this year. One is from China and one is from Japan. If memory serves, Chinese delegation is something like 155, and I think the Japanese delegation is around 130. Third thing is that we have this year 51 states and territories at the SelectUSA Summit, namely their economic development people from that very large number of bodies. And that's a wonderful thing because it gives the foreign potential investors very good access to what are the economic incentives that the various states and other locales will give them for investing in that territory. So it's been a very, very successful conference so far. We're only partway through. As you know, it continues again tomorrow. And we're very hopeful that just as prior conferences have literally resulted in tens of billions of dollars of foreign direct investment, we're hopeful to set a new record for this one as well.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. You should take one more.
That was last
Oh.
one. If you want to do one.
You already had one. You need somebody who didn't have one. You in the corner.
Simon Ma, Business Weekly from Taiwan. I have a question about how do you think about the manufacturing capability of Taiwan companies, just like Foxconn can cooperate USA companies in the future?
Wasn't really able to hear that. Can you repeat?
Capability of Taiwanese manufacturers and Foxconn to produce in the future value. Yeah.
Well, Foxconn is a very, very successful business. They took over Sharp, they've taken over a number of things, and I believe they're bidding on some other companies right as we sit here. They also have indicated some potential interest in opening up factories in the U.S. Thank you very much.
All right.